Testing, 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 testing. Okay, are you ready? All right, I'm Rich Copcho. I'm with a company called Corvida, and we're building Hookify. What is Hookify? Well, you probably want to know. Everybody has a business, and in your business, you have an application that runs your business. Is that not correct? Yes. You have this application, you're concerned about it, but guess what? That isn't the important thing. It's data that matters, isn't it? If you've got data, then you know what your business is about. But it's not even about the data. Next. It's about the information. Data alone doesn't do anything for you. But if you're trying to get something done, you need information. Next. Well, what is that about? It's about informing action. Because you need to do something in your business. You just don't need to have a business. You need to get something done. I was talking to Lou earlier, Lou Hagler. He has 4 sets of data that he can't get information out of. He has a CRM database. He has the database of names of people who are interested in getting funding, etc. He's trying to get all of that stuff together, and he can't. Other thing. Which button am I pushing? That one? Okay. So before the internet, you had a situation like this, where all your data was stored in a big fat database underneath your application. And that served us well for many, many years. And then something happened. The internet. And guess what? Now you started to need to get data from other places, like a payment system or so forth. So you had these things called APIs. APIs are application programming interfaces. In other words, that's the way you can go outside of your app and get stuff from someplace else, bring it into your application, and put it in your database and start using it. Now, that's all well and good in the internet age, but we're no longer in the internet age. We're beyond the internet age, right? We're beyond the internet age. So now, you don't have just a couple of APIs. All of the data is scattered all over the internet. For instance, the Healthcare Act. Guess what? The data hub that was formed with that means that all of this data between all of the payers and the insurers and everything is scattered all over, and in almost near real time, they can approve you for different things. So all of your healthcare information, your Social Security information, it's not stored in one single database anymore. It's all over the place. So how do you get at it now? This is the model when the data is stored in one place, right? You have a thing called SQL that allows you to manage your data, retrieve data that you're interested in getting, and to extract exactly what you want. SQL is structured query language. It allows you to get inside your big fat database and pull out just what you need to run your business. That's wonderful in that world, but what happens when your world changes and it looks like this, and your data is now live and it's scattered all over the place? Where do you get your data from now? You don't have one big fat database. You may have a smaller database like MongoDB, and all of these APIs connected to your application, and your data is all over it. How? We bring you a solution. Hookify. What in the world is Hookify? It's a way for you to get at managing your data that is scattered all over the place and allows you to munge your data. For instance, Lou Hagler's 4 databases that he can't get to talk to each other. We have a way to transform all of that data so that you can use it in one place. Click. 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 Okay. So, what is this thing about APIs and the API economy? It's a big business. There's a lot going on in the API economy. For instance, these numbers show that Salesforce, half of their revenue is from their API. The piece of the market we're going after is $34 billion. It's a big a big number and a big thing. You always are seeing these numbers, but in reality, what you have is a bunch of stuff going on in the IT world, and you can't really cut and dice it and say, okay, that's it, because it's all over the place. So what does Hookify actually do? It sits between all of your APIs and allows you to have access to all of your data the way you want it. So our marketing strategy is to build this product that's basically your API, and our go-to-market targets are data users, data scientists, data analysts. Our business model is SaaS, it's big, better, and best. And at the end of the day, what we deliver for value is your data, your way. Questions?
Thank you, Rich. Thanks for that. So we're going to move straight into the next presentation. We've got 3 of them back to back to back, and then we will do questions for all 3 speakers after. So, Idias, are you guys ready? Excellent. And do you want a quick slide deck switch? There we go. All right. We got Tamir and Sean from Idias. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, sir. Hi, my name is Tamir Mohammed. This is Sean Ortiz, and we are 2 of the co-founders of Idias Bioenergy, where we are focused on returning carbon to where it is needed most, our soil. So what's the problem with topsoil? Topsoil is disappearing at an astonishing rate. According to a study done in 2012 by the United Nations, we are to continue our modern agricultural practices as we are currently. We are on track to losing all of the topsoil in less than 60 years. First of all, what is topsoil? It is the layer of soil that contains the highest concentration of nutrients, organic matter, and microorganisms. It is a community of microbes that is vital for sustaining both the roots and plant growth. Conventional farming techniques are destroying these communities of microbes, and as a result, destroying topsoil. What this is translating to is a global decrease in crop yield. There's projections that within the next 20 to 50 years, 30% less food will be produced due to topsoil degradation. When in actuality, in this exact time frame, we need to produce 50% more food in order to sustain our growing population. The second issue with topsoil degradation is water retention. Water retention is depleting reservoirs and creating scattered droughts throughout the nation. Even moderately degraded soil will hold only half the water that healthy soil in the same exact region will. And in order to counteract these issues, we are here to share with you a great product, Pure Algae. Pure Algae is an all-natural soil amendment that improves soil health by feeding and growing the biological system within the soil. Pure Algae helps build the soil's life, and in a result helps plants become more resistant to both diseases and pests. In a result, farmers who have been using Pure Algae are noticing healthier plants that not only look better, but are tasting better as well. As we will show you in a couple farmers markets, products that have won awards thanks to being grown with Pure Algae. This picture is of a study done at the University of Texas in Austin, showcasing the power of Pure Algae. The 2 pictures on your far left are rice grown with nostoc and anabaina, 2 common biofertilizers that are out on the market currently. The middle picture is a control and it was only fed water, and the 4th picture from the left is rice grown with urea, a common synthetic fertilizer. As you can see, rice grown with Pure Algae, significantly greater yield, as well as stronger stalk and deeper greener color in the vegetation. In addition to this study done at UT Austin, we also have customers like Leon Caldwell, who has said the results are astounding. No bugs and no organic fertilizers. 10 to 20% faster maturation when applied to plants, less problems with plant diseases, promotion of good, healthy soils, and the end results are beautiful fruits, vegetables, and greens. So with this product, Our business model is very simple. It revolves around a gallon of algae. We are selling a gallon of algae for $200. It costs us $76 to produce that algae, and with this, we're able to target two key customers. The first are urban farmers who are conscious about their effects on soil and are growing at a lot smaller scale, so they're more focused on the quality of produce. And the second, commercial farming, which is obviously concerned about the yields, and as you can tell, pure algae gives you an increase in yield, which answers their question of why they would want to buy such a product. I'm going to give it off to Sean, and he'll talk to you about our go-to-market plan.
Thanks, Samir. I think you did a great job of highlighting that, and I just want to share with you guys how we plan to get pure algae from us to our customers. We've been blessed with the beautiful opportunity to start a joint venture with our partner in Texas. They're bringing the technology as well as the pure algae blend, and we'll be working to bring sales and operations and engineering expertise to scale up as we bring this to Colorado. So luckily through that, we've been able to reduce a lot of the capital risk and a lot of the technology risk, as we'll both be going in 50-50 on this. We believe wholeheartedly in this product. We're ready to get behind it. We're ready to begin making a change and moving towards sustainable agricultural practices. So we'll be accessing through distributors. So we have some interested people already. Mugs is interested in having us on their shelves. We're also in talks with a few of the nurseries locally, and that's how we'll be attempting to access our customers. We've also developed a e-commerce channel that is just developing. So I invite you all to check out our website, Idias.co, and see what we have there as we come to market. So let's talk a little bit about competition and what that space looks like. So of course, to the far left, we have a traditional substitute, which is just chemical-based fertilizer. This is your ammonium nitrate. Urea is what people have been using for years, ever since the end of World War II. So in terms of sustainability and degree of action, it's pretty low on the sustainability scale, and it only adds nutritive value to the plants. There are other biofertilizers by companies like Novozymes and Becker Underwood, which provide a more sustainable approach and have more degrees of action, so they can provide nutrition as well as pesticide value to the plants, allowing them to resist pests. There is another company called Organics, and they are the most similar to our product in that they use an algae source as well as a combination of microbes. In terms of sustainability, we are more sustainable because we use natural anthropogenic CO2, so we are closing the loop on more than just a waste stream. So that's kind of how we view the competition. So we've been blessed with an amazing management team. You will see some of their beautiful faces scattered around this room, as well as in the back at our table, if you guys can check us out. It's a team, a collection of engineers from CSU and CU. I've had the pleasure of working with these guys for the past 3 years. We've worked with NASA, we've worked with some of the leading oil and gas companies as well, so we have developed quite the skill set, and now we want to take that and try to better the world in terms of sustainability. So what do the finances look like? Well, just to highlight a couple of things, I don't want to beat you guys down with numbers at all. But our direct margin to start out, because of the scale, we have roughly a 60% margin that grows with economies of scale, of course. But just to highlight at the end, just in fiscal year 5, of course we can't predict that far out, but we're looking at roughly about $8 million of free cash flow. So we do make money as well. So where are we now? Right now we're finalizing our registration through the CDA. So we're getting our label approved, and we're doing all the correct steps to make that happen as we come to market here in Colorado. We're building the market, so we're out here giving people chances to try the product. We have it on a few different farms locally in the state, so we're trying to build a market, get the word out there, start to do some marketing. We're doing a rice-specific validation currently at Texas A&M. So we have 2 different plots. We have a plot of urea, which is a conventional method, and then we have our biofertilizer for a side-by-side test. And finally, we have shovels on the ground. We're ready. We've been looking for land. We're ready to get this joint venture on the way.
All right, thanks guys. Look forward to asking you some questions in a few minutes. And last but certainly not least, our newly elected mayor is going to pitch the city of Fort Collins to us.
All right. Well, let's hear it for Hookify and Idias, huh? All right, so what I'm doing today is talking about Fort Collins as an innovation community. And I think Hookify and Idias exemplify what really Fort Collins is all about. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I went to school here, got married, raised my kids, started businesses. I'm a professor at CSU, and now I'm the mayor. When I was a kid, Fort Collins was 30,000 people, and now it's 159,000 people, and it's better. We know the facts. We're 65 miles north of Denver, home of Colorado State University with 30,000 students. Great high-tech companies and leading businesses. We have a microbrewing industry, and we have a lot of creative industries. Northern Colorado has outstanding outdoor activities with Rocky Mountain National Park and wild and scenic Poudre River. And we have a lot of natural areas in the city of Fort Collins as well. And Fort Collins has great restaurants, nightlife, and wonderful cultural and recreational amenities. We're a bright, bike-friendly community, and while keeping a friendly, small town feel. That's Fort Collins. But I think we're reaching to something much greater than that. We know things that next slide please, that we're the best place to live. In short, we have great quality of life. To work, play, raise a family, study, research new breakthroughs, to innovate, and to start a business. We need to recognize and thank those who served before us for all the intentional planning decisions that have created such a livable and enjoyable community. Next slide. But we also have some unique features that I think we can exemplify a lot more, and that includes we are a university city. You know, and there's been some studies done where looking at university cities, and Fort Collins fits in the sweet spot where there's only 6 cities that fit into this category. You kind of say it's like the porridge is just right, not too hot, not too cold, but just right. These university cities are mid-sized cities with a diversified economy big enough to take advantage of the talent, the investment, the innovation, and the entrepreneurship generated by a first-rate research university. And you can see here the quote that it's up there. Next slide, please. There are 6 of these university cities: Madison, Wisconsin; Lexington, Kentucky; Ann Arbor, Michigan; Durham, North Carolina; Lincoln, Nebraska; and Fort Collins, Colorado. Basically, research shows, and on these 4 graphics, you see USA, you see some of the top cities in the US, you see cities within 250,000 to a million people, and then you see this university cities category. And you see them in 4 charts and categories for education of the community, in terms of entrepreneurship of the community, in terms of invention in the community, and in terms of cultural resources in the community. And on the right-hand side, you can see Fort Collins, the level in all of those exceed all of those categories in all these in these different classes across the U.S. and within these university cities category. And even with this an elite group, we rise above all of these communities in these categories. So we should understand this and exemplify and go further. Next shot. Here's a snapshot of Fort Collins, our Fort Collins snapshot. We have a mix of industries with educational, and you see this on the left, the educational services, healthcare, professional, and scientific services in our top 5. The upper right, we have that we're young. We have lots of millennials. We're bubbling with energy, and we've seen that today. Another one is in the bottom right, and it's a difficult one to see, but of a map. We're geographically very diverse. 38% of our residents are from Fort Collins, and right now, and we have even a broader geographic distribution of residents coming from literally every state across the United States and by foreign countries. So we're a very diverse community where we're not just attracting from one particular place. Next slide, please. So what we want to do is become an innovation community. And I want to consider 6 things as we do that. Next slide. First, we need to be a problem solver. We all play a role in ideas and the solution that makes what Fort Collins is great. This is what lifts our city, lifts the entire community. And to be a problem solver, oftentimes we miss. You must define the problem to be solved. We need to do that as well. And once we define the problem, then we solve it. Next slide, please. Be the individual that you are. Uniquely Fort Collins, what makes Fort Collins Fort Collins? The secret sauce is the people, you. Be the individual that you are. From software engineers to brewers to artists to research scientists to business folks, Fort Collins is bubbling with creative energy. We are a design thinking community lifting our community up. Next slide. Operate like an entrepreneur. Whatever you're doing, operate like an entrepreneur. Be willing to take a risk. As an example, Fort Collins in the 1960s made a decision to underground its electric power system. That was a decision that could never be easy because it's always more costly, and why do that in face of everything else? And it was a decision that was made at the time, and now we see the benefits of it. We have a more robust, reliable electric power system, but also we have beautiful view sheds. People say Fort Collins is a beautiful city, and oftentimes it's because of what they don't see. A lot of hanging wires and things like that. It's because of, doing things that were risky. And that's, it can be at the city government, that can be with business, that can be at the university. So we are a community willing to take intelligent risks, and we've done it effectively. Next slide. Get a mentor. How do we move the dial? Well, we learn from others. Get involved, mentor someone, and find a mentor yourself. Next slide. We're a co-creator community. I've talked about the triple helix. We are better working together, the public sector, private sector, research, university. So by working together, the parts find out that we're much more than just the sum of the parts. We're better, we're better than that. We leverage the university, the private sector, and the public sector. We create a virtuous flywheel effect that contribute with these contributions for the better, greater good. Collaboration has enhanced our global competitiveness and our businesses to solve 21st century problems in a socially and environmentally sustainable way. Next slide. The ripple effect. Charles Betcher, who is one of our earliest entrepreneurs here in this state, and he was a business leader and turned into a philanthropist. He was basically sold hardware to a lot of the miners in the mining industry. Next click. And he has a quote that basically says, Betcher said, "We need to invest in the work of others. By creating an environment to accomplish more, to invest in others, we actually create a ripple effect that extends beyond ourselves. Our work creates a ripple effect. We inspire others and positively impact the entire world." Next slide. The enabler. There is a role of local government, and the role of local government is to enable. A convener, a communicator, a catalyst. We have a fantastic network of mechanisms, including what you see here, the Innosphere, SAGE, the technology clusters, and others. So there is a role for the local government, but it's the government working with the private sector, working with, in our case, the research university. We have abilities to do much more. Next slide. So the bottom line for me is to be a collaborator in our innovation community. And here's the takeaway. We're on the cusp of our golden era. We all have a stake in the outcome. We are all co-creators. If Fort Collins is to continue to fill our destiny as a great city, it's up to us, and it starts with you. Thank you, and best wishes for your success.
Thank you, Wade. Can we have the previous presenters come on up and grab a seat, and we'll move into Q&A. I swear that podium is heavier than those guys. Not actually that weak. All right. Yeah, we don't have a roving microphone, unfortunately, so you're just going to have to speak up. But who wants to throw out the first question for these guys? All right. Actually, maybe we do have a roving microphone. We'll see how it works. Let's go ahead and run back and forth.
Thank you. And Wade, thanks. In your slides that you had a picture from the small engine energy conversion lab. It's called something else now, the old power plant. My question is for the Idea folks. First time I went there, really remarkable thing. They had like a little greenhouse replicating the sun, and they were vibrating different algae samples to see what was one of the best growers. And then they had a schematic diagram of a coal-fired power plant that was putting the carbon to grow the algae that could then be used as biofuel. So my question to you is, you mentioned about the urea. Are you doing something similar in terms of algae growing to that, and maybe talk a little bit about that?
We've got a second microphone coming, so we won't be running back and forth much longer.
Yeah, so actually that is our ultimate goal, is to be directly co-located with a power plant, natural gas processing plant, and that's how we started this whole venture, was working with DCP Midstream in Greeley, Colorado, in order to capture their CO2 and convert it into sustainable products. But we ran into the same issue that every other algae company has, and that the scale of CO2 emissions being emitted by these power plants requires such a huge scale of algae production that sometimes it becomes very feasible just because you can't sell that much product. To do that, we actually, what we decided and what we think the right approach is, and the goal of a venture, is to, capture all the CO2 from DCP Midstream, this natural gas processing plant, clean up the CO2, get it to beverage grade level, so that way we can use a percentage to produce our soil amendment product, and as we scale up, that percentage will grow. But at the same time, we have a second product, and that is, beverage grade CO2, which the market for in Colorado is growing and growing. That allows us to not only capture CO2 from a power plant, but to capture it at a scale that makes a difference for them.
Well, maybe with all that algae, you could make a sequel to the movie The Blob.
That's the goal, hopefully.
Josser, did I see your hand up?
Yes, so how does small startups like Ideas partner with government? And I'm going to go talk to the director of sustainability and stuff, but what do you recommend is in there, sir? How do we go change the world and get the government to kind of help out this out?
The important point is you're doing, you have the idea, the creative spark, and the energy to drive it. And then I think the important part is that there's a lot of support networks and around that can help move your company forward. And then that's one, being aware of those sorts of things, and two, connecting to it. And so that's where I believe we're very much of a collaboration community, where whatever it is you need, a specific kind of expertise or business acumen or investment financing or other sorts of things, there's connections to getting that. So as you're building your company and you're connecting, and that's where it's not a surprise that something related to algae, with some of the earlier work done here in terms of biofuels, and there's a lot of terrific expertise at CSU and in our community related to that to help you as a company move forward, as further refining your business model and how you make your money and who's your customer, but also the technology elements that you can make, basically take costs out such that you can, build that into your bottom line and that sort of thing. So, and that's the point is you're not doing it on your own. It's where the spark, it's where the energy, it's where the drive is. But there's a lot of ability and connections around us to actually allow and to enable that energy to be turned into market success.
More questions?
You've talked a lot about it being an innovation community, and you and I have been around a long time. In the 80s and 90s, there were a lot of larger high-tech companies who brought in thousands and thousands of high-paid jobs. So I'm thinking we need this balance. Woodward Governor's coming in, bringing in jobs. Agilent just hired 250 people. You look at Otterbox, they've created 800 jobs, but it's taken Kirk Richardson 25 years to do that. So it takes a long time to grow these jobs organically, which we're doing a great job at. Talk about in your pitch on Fort Collins, talk about the part, can you please share your part of the pitch to bring in good, clean, high-tech companies that match our culture?
Right. As Fort Collins undertakes like climate action plan or some bold, ambitious sorts of things, one of the things that I think about is why not be the world leader in terms of the thought leading element, and in order to be successful, it has to be successful here. So I think one of the ways to be an attractor to businesses is not to buy businesses here, but to be the thought leading and to have the ecosystem that enables businesses to be successful. So when you think of places like Silicon Valley or the North Carolina Research Triangle Partnership, those are elements that really drive industries that help the industries and therefore the businesses be successful. And so, the vision is here to have that similar level of critical mass that can attract the talent, the innovation, the companies, the ideas, the investment capital, and just to create the climate where that happens. And I don't think it's far-fetched at all. And I'll cite an example, is we're going to be featured, Fort Collins is going to be featured at a Smithsonian exhibit that's going to be at the National Museum of American History that's going to be opening up in July in Washington, D.C. And they're featuring multiple cities at periods of time in which a particular magic happened where it defined really what they are today. For example, Hollywood in the 1930s, in terms of filmmaking and acting and that sort of thing. We talked about Silicon Valley in the 60s and 70s, and Minnesota and Minneapolis in terms of bio at a particular period. Well, they're featuring Fort Collins in this exhibit in the 2015 period, where we're on the cusp in the clean energy space and other sorts of areas. And so that's where I think, we're at the cusp of our golden era where bringing those things together and creating a defining element that really is, I think, what this community is all about, and that's being an innovation community. And it's fulfilling that kind of vision that I think is well within our reach. And I would just like to point out, and to your point, Robin, like Rich, for example, I don't know, 10 companies or something like that. But, what we have, and you fit in this category too, Robin, are serial entrepreneurs. And, Rich was early on as part of Advanced Energy, and this is his 10th company. And so, that we cultivating that kind of experience where you're probably on your first one, and, he's on his 10th one, and that's where we all kind of work together, in terms of continually creating and providing new products for the world.
Do you guys want to throw your hands up and Shane will bring you the mic?
One of the things I've seen a lot, because I come from Seattle originally, is that everyone's trying to attract businesses, and Seattle used to be a big place for Boeing manufacturer everything, and now they're moving down to Carolina. And one of the other discussions yesterday was, once you make it big as an entrepreneur, you sell your company out, how do you keep it from leaving? I mean, that's the big thing in sustainability. How do you keep it from going to the coast or whatnot?
That's a great question, and you know, I've started companies, and I had a company from 1997 to 2002, and it was acquired, and it was relocated. It went public in like 2007, and so right now there's both coast and investment, and oftentimes a lead investor would like to relocate the company to other places. And so that's where, I think that's one of our challenges. If you think of the Boulder-Denver corridor, particularly around Boulder, they created a nest of wealth related to data storage industry, and that created a lot of the investment capital that's keeping things in the Denver-Boulder area. Fort Collins in northern Colorado is newer in terms of wealth creation. We're beginning to see it with the brewery industry and through the outer boxes and so forth. And so our challenge is to keep the stickiness, that we create that critical mass that feeds off itself, such that once we have a successful company, it's not relocated, but it's here. And if you heard Kurt Richardson in the video earlier, he was really talking about why do you stay here? Well, why not stay here? And this is a great place, and that's part of it. Is this is a great place to not only to live, work, and play, but also to start your business and to be a successful business here, and helping develop more of that ecosystem here that will continue well into the future. So that's a great question.
Thanks, Wade. I'm actually curious. So we've got entrepreneurs who are here who haven't left. Do you guys have anything to add about why haven't you left? Why not San Francisco? Why not Boston?
Really good question. So
Would you repeat the question?
I can repeat the question, yes. He asked, why haven't I left? They tried to throw me out a few times.
And you're wishing that I would, right?
I actually came to Colorado originally in 1973. I did leave. I went back to New Jersey for school, and then came back in 78 and stayed. I came for the mountains, and I stayed for the mountains. We recently won the GoCo Colorado pitch competition, and we made an app, Picker Knows, for finding cool places to go in Colorado. In that pitch, it talks about why people come to Colorado and why they end up staying here. They come for the mountains, they come for the scenery, but they stay because of the community. And that's why I stayed. I came for the mountains, but I made it my home. I live in Loveland. I've been there since 1978, and I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. Besides that, I had some really, really good mentors that, as Wade was bringing up, Doug and Brent, who started Advanced Energy, I tried to get them to come out for Fort Collins Startup Week, but they were going to be offshore. And I talked to Brent. He's 75 now, but I remember, and you can talk to my partner. I'm always drawing on a whiteboard. Well, I got the smell of whiteboard marker from Brent. He would line us up and map out the plan, and the things I learned from these mentors are the things I still do today.
So I guess the takeaway there is that we should grow our community and hold on to our mountains.
Question for Idias. Looking at the picture, see all the different plants. Looked like urea was not as good, but pretty good. Cost difference, you guys are at $200 a gallon.
Yeah, so the price is completely based off customer value, and it's meant to be competitive with existing solutions. So basically, on a per acre basis, the application is cost competitive with urea.
And then, second question, you guys said you're in mugs coffee.
Interested, absolutely. So
Can you give a little background on that? I would assume that that was a nutrition supplement if I saw algae in mugs coffee.
So for the urban farmers, we are just, again, waiting on our label to get approved, but they're interested about getting people who don't want to grow lawns, they want to grow food. So we go in there and be able to educate the community about sustainable agriculture at a local coffee shop, why not?
Yeah, not traditional, but I guess we might be able to get some sales from there. But I guess we're going with the shotgun approach to wholesale distribution channels. Just trying to get everybody.
My question is for Rich. My idea of high tech is to sharpen salt. Could you explain a little bit of what the cloud is and how that works? Well, I know we could be here till Friday, but yeah, where do you start with the cloud, right? Good one, yeah. So traditional IT is hardware on the ground in your data center, under or on top of a cooled box like this, and air conditioning underneath it. If you go back to when we started Advanced Energy and we put in our first data center, it was a raised floor with air conditioning, and we had hard drives that were that big, and they were like 10 megabytes or something. And we ran HP system, MM3000, and an HP stack with these big old hard drives. And everything was in one place. All the data was there. Well, the advent of the cloud is moving that stuff out to data centers that are connected through internet connections. It's still on hardware somewhere, but it's not in your data center. So the cloud is really just the data center moved away from you and connected by a pipe that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. At first, you could put a little bit of information across the pipe. Now that they've got fiber, you can put lots and lots of information across the pipe. We had the Zayo guy, Dan Caruso, at Fort Collins Startup Week, and their claim to fame is that they're piping fiber all over the place. And you've got this big ring of fiber that goes around Fort Collins that Fry is tapped into, the college is tapped into, and you could put so much information on there that the Library of Congress could speed around that thing 1,000,000 miles an hour and not use up all of the bandwidth.
I got a question for Hookify. I graduated from CSU as a computer science student, so I'm sure someone like me is kind of what Hookify is going to be targeted to more than someone that doesn't know exactly what an API is. So I guess my question for you is, in terms of like a computer science student, someone that's taken a database management course, they're beaten over the brain with SQL queries and principles and philosophy, all that kind of stuff. What kind of value would you bring to someone like me?
Repeat that last part of the question.
What type of value would Hookify have for someone like me?
What are you trying to do with data?
Gather data, collect data, use it. So for someone like me who knows how to gather data, knows how to phrase queries to manipulate that data to find really key points that are important for my business, right? How does Hookify help?
Excellent question. Could you give the mic to the technical guy?
So the most fundamental answer to your question, the big point of Hookify is you're absolutely right. You learn how to use SQL queries and talk to databases to get your data. As the world has changed, as your data has moved out into the cloud, you can no longer use those tools. You know, if you want to get your user data, your sales data, that's over in Salesforce. You can't write an SQL query for that. So what Hookify does is it restores some of that capability. What you have to do now to talk to an API to get the data you want, you have to write this big pile of custom code, as I'm sure you know. What Hookify lets you do is kind of skip that step and get down to what do you actually want from that other system. We have a language that we've produced, which we will eventually be open sourcing, that lets you describe your data that you want from these systems in a non-code way, which lets you get to that very simple, this is what I want, something go get it for me. And the transition that we had when we went from storing all of our data ourselves and writing files on the hard drive and all of that years and years and years ago, we switched to databases which took all of that work that was, you know, this 60% of your actual code down to, you know, 10. And we're looking to enable the same type of transition. Get out of writing this 60% of your code that has really nothing to do with what you're trying to accomplish.
We're almost out of time, guys. We've got time for one more question. So I guess here in the middle.
Hi, I'm Dave Colton. I'd like to talk to the Idea guys. You have business cards?
Yes, sir.
Because I was involved 15 years ago with some field trials over near Greeley with soil amendment, very identical to what you're talking about. It was delivered very similarly. The field trials themselves versus the neighboring farm, 15, I think it was, let's see, I think 12% higher bushels per acre. It was organic because what we put into the sick soil is exactly what we took out of healthy soil. So it was organic, and most importantly, the protein level in the dryland wheat was higher than anybody else in that area. The idea failed for marketing and introduction reasons. I'd be happy to talk to you about that next week, but I got another meeting to go to.
That's amazing. Thank you, sir. We'll
It worked, but it didn't work.
Okay.
We have to
Figure out why.
have to try to help you get over that hump. Thank you.
Woo!
I appreciate it.
That was a perfect final question, because that is exactly what we are hoping will happen at 1 Million Cups. And it doesn't always happen, but every once in a while, that right connection gets made. We meet similar style presentations every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. We're in the basement of Mugs on Olive College right now. We're going to be moving to a bigger space soon. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for staying. And thank you to our panelists. That was wonderful.
Thank you.